that Republicans really don't care that debate. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have un show maravilloso. We're going to have a great show for you today. Happy Friday. I've got a busy weekend, but you know what? We're going to have a good time. I'm supposed to be going, I'm going to try my best. I'm supposed to be going to Bryan, Texas to visit to visit that prison where Ghislaine Maxwell is at. We're supposed to be having a protest out there, but I also have a speech to give that afternoon. Actually, close. It's going to be cutting it close. I may not make it. I may be able to ask some folks to get some videos for us out there. Pretty busy weekend, and then of course Sunday we got a planning meeting for our little Panamanian group. So it's going to be a crazy weekend above and beyond all the blogs that I got to finish up and get done. So, hey, café. Voy a tomar mucho café. Te voy a decir eso. Voy a tomar mucho café. Hey, Vicky. How you doing, Vicky? Great to have you here. Beautiful. Laura, Valerie Irvin, Patrick, Evelyn Hudson, Virginia Rich, Marge, KJ, Joanne. How you doing? De California, we have, of course, Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia, Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas, Harry Denson from Missouri City, Texas. We got Le Danube. I love that name, Le Danube. It sounds so French, right? Vicky, I'm going to try to make that. I'm going to have to see how much work I can get done tonight. We'll see. We also have in the house Eric from Kingwood, Atascocita. Michael Rudnan is listening from AFK. Hey, Michael, love having you here. You said you may not make it today. You know I love you, man. Thank you for being here. One of our strong. I wish you had some TikToks for me, but I do have a TikTok for our people that I think is very, 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 very important. And it talks about the employed. I want you guys to listen. I didn't even cue the damn thing up. What's wrong with me? All right, let's see if I can cue this baby up. Where is it at? I think it's a TikTok. Let's see if my TikTok is up that I can actually do it, because I really want you guys to hear this. This was when I heard this. Welcome aboard, Cheryl Elkins. Love having you here. I want to go ahead. I hope I saved it off as I thought I did. I think I did, but you know what happens when you're doing 20,000 things at the same time? But I think I did, beautiful people. I think I did. Let me see. Voila! I did. Is this the right one that I wanted to do? Yes, and yes. All right. I want you guys to listen to this because this pertains to us all. I need to contact this guy as well, because I love his. It seems like he recently started this particular influencing page. I love what he has to say. So let me, without further ado, get him on, and then we'll take it on the other side.
You walk into a room, 7 people sit around a table. A researcher stands at the front, says, "Today we're testing visual perception." He says, "Simple stuff." He shows you 2 cards. On the left, a single line, and on the right, 3 lines labeled A, B, and C. Which line on the right matches the one on the left? Easy. It's line B. A child could see it. The researcher points to the first person. Your answer? Line C. You blink. What? That's not even close. He points to the second person, and you? Line C. Then the third, line C. The fourth, line C. Fifth, sixth, seventh person. 7 people, 7 wrong answers. And now he's pointing at you. Well, here's what you don't know. This isn't a vision test. It's a conformity experiment. Those 7 people are actors following a script, giving wrong answers on purpose. You're the only real subject, and the researcher wants to know one thing. Will you trust your eyes, or will you go along with the group? In 1951, almost 75 years ago, psychologist Solomon Asch ran this experiment. He tested it again and again and again, and the results never changed. 75% of people gave the wrong answers at least once. Yeah, they denied what their eyes could see. They went along with the group. Think about that. 3 out of 4 people chose conformity over reality. They chose fitting in over being right. They chose the comfort of agreement over the discomfort of standing alone. This is the employee mindset in its purest form. Go along, don't make waves, trust the group, question your own judgment, and just stay safe. This is what the system trains you to do. From the moment you enter school, you're rewarded for compliance, for raising your hand, for waiting your turn, for giving the answers the teachers wants to hear, not for being right, for going along. The unemployable mindset is the opposite. It's the 25% of us who look at those lines and said, it's B. I don't give a shit what you said. It's B. Right? It's trusting your own eyes over the crowd. It's being willing to stand alone when the group is wrong. Now, let me be clear about something. When I say unemployable, most people think I mean someone who can't get a job, someone without skills, someone nobody wants to hire. That's not what I'm talking about. The unemployable mindset means that you're so valuable that nobody can afford to buy your time. You've built something on your own, something that works, something that gives you freedom. You're not unemployable because you lack skills. You're unemployable because, well, trading your time for someone else's vision stopped making sense, right? You're happy, you're free, and that's all you need. Because here's the truth that they don't want you to know. Every major breakthrough in business, art, science, it came from someone who refused to conform. Every fortune was built by someone who saw what others couldn't see. Every revolution started with someone willing to be wrong in the eyes of the group. The employed are trained to seek consensus, okay? The unemployable are trained to seek truth. The employed ask, what does everyone else think? The unemployable asks, what do I see? The system needs you to conform. It needs you to doubt yourself when you disagree, to question your judgment when you stand out, to choose the safety of the group over the risk of being right. Because the moment you start trusting your own eyes, you become unemployable. And that's when you become dangerous. So which line is it? The one you see or the one they tell you to see? Your answer to that question determines everything. If you made it this far in this video, you're already different. Most people tap out after 7 seconds. They go back to the comfort of the scroll, right? Back to the safety of not thinking too hard. But you're still here, and that tells me something about you. You're the type who questions, who thinks, who's willing to stand alone when you know you're right. That's exactly who this channel is for. This is the content that I'm trying to create, is for people like you. If this resonates, hit follow. I'm building a community of people who refuse to outsource their thinking. People who see the truth even when the crowd can't. And if you made it to the end, drop one word in the comments, truth. Let me know you're out there. Let me know that you see what I see. Because the moment we stop pretending to agree with lines we know are wrong, everything changes. You walk into a room.
Check out this guy. Check out this guy. I looked at a few of his other videos. They are on point. And you know what? It's interesting. As a sole proprietor, etc., he's absolutely right. Personally, I was never a conformist. Right now the thing that most people in our domain refuse to accept. I want you to look at every progressive talking head right now, yours truly as well. See how many will tell Egbert. I think the video is half BS. I don't actually. You know what? Instead of me telling you I don't think it's half BS, let me tell you what I'm going to ask you, Michael. Tell me what part of the video you think is BS. I want to see if you're saying something over over my head or not. But let me just say this. Um, I think. Do you see my chat post? Of course, I see your chat. I see both chats. I'm both in subtext and Substack and the regular chat, meaning the YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. All of those are conglomerated in one area, and then the one that's by itself is Substack because Substack is not my particular streamer does not bring Substack messages in, so I have to use a separate one. Anyway, I want you guys to look around for all the other progressive talking heads. See how many of them are willing to tell you the truth about capitalism, as myself, as Dr. Richard Wolf, who also has his own podcast, and others that are willing to go out on a limb, knowing that pointing out realities about capitalism is going to hurt them to some extent, right? Because again, it's a fraudulent economic system. But we can't. Many even I've had progressives pull me aside on Daily Kos. In fact, I just put a piece on capitalism on Daily Kos, and I'm waiting to be attacked on Daily. Yeah, Tom Hartman as well. On The only difference with Tom Hartman is Tom Hartman wants to be, that he's my buddy, by the way. We meet all the time. Well, we haven't met in a couple of years at Netroots, but he was here at KPFT recently. But very few want to just come out and tell you frankly about it because you kind of get attacked for it, and people are so indoctrinated into it, it affects you. But to get the change started, you have to have those who are willing to put things out. All right, let me see what Michael had to say because when Michael talks about certain things, I like to hear his point of view. He says, "I'll repeat my four comments as one. Initial thoughts. Excellent video. Other than the idea behind unemployable, that nonconformists and the ones being described as unemployable are one and the same. When listening more, this is a video that's meant to get something out of their viewers. Nonconformist video trying to get everyone to conform. Type truth. Oh, I think this video is half BS. What do they what do he Let me ask you this other topic then, Michael. What do you think he's trying to get you to conform about? Being an unconformist? I'm curious. I want to get your thought process because I think I get the gist of what he's trying to say. The people who make change are the people who go above and beyond. Like those of you that listen to, let's say, Politics Done Right. And when I say capitalism is a clear and present danger, you don't immediately say change channel. You guys are nonconformists. Because when I make statements like that, there are some people that immediately say change channel because we're not moving from that position. There are others who say either tell me more or etc. Oh, I see. Michael says, I'm not going to follow that channel. He's trying to build an audience out of people who think they are nonconformists while they're conforming to his views. I get what you're saying. Let me ask you this, Michael. Am I trying to get our audience here? I notice I said our audience because we're a family. Am I trying to get our audience to conform to my thinking? Or am I trying to get our audience to have a collective process of thinking about an economic system that makes us better? And in doing that, am I making the same mistake? Because that's not what I'm trying to say is that Um, I think conforming to the right thing is not being a conformist. And I know that sounds kind of strange, but what I mean to say is if I conform to an economic system that supports the growth of us all, is that conforming wrong? I don't think so. I get you. Now, when it comes to him trying to build an audience, yes, he's trying to build an audience. I am trying to build an audience. Uh, you know, right now, my audience may be about 20 times his size, but I would love people like him, uh, other than personal equipment is mirrored in progressive pot. True, very true, Michael. I would like to, uh, whatever I can do to help build an audience for a guy like that, I would want to do, right? Because I think 1 plus 1 is equal to 5 in this business. I would like others who have a much larger footprint than I have to help me build an audience for me. And I will do the same for others. Because one of the issues that we have here, as far as audience is concerned, is that too many of the people with huge audiences are not necessarily uh, working with their audience to push the messages that support us all, that move us all in a positive direction. There are a couple of, I can think of, I won't call a name because I don't want it to look like audience envy. Even though it's kind of audience envy, I am kind of, it's a good envy. I have a sort of a audience envy with a particular character, albeit he started on YouTube about, I guess, 8 years or so before I really started to build a YouTube audience. And this guy right now has 149,000 YouTube subscribers. I think I may have 45,000. So, but then when I look at content, I'm like, but my God, man. Anyway, so there's a little bit of, you know, anyway, that is a little bit of, on my part, a tiny bit of audience envy as far as like, but how'd you do that? But anyhow, I digress to what we need to talk about. Um, Last night I was watching. What is the right to Egberto is left to others. What is right to Egberto is left to others. You're really putting me to the left, dude. Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope E2247 comes to the house and hear you say that. I sure hope so. All right. Welcome aboard. Anthony Franco says, isn't that cat's approach a push approach and not a pull approach? People dig when you have stuff to pull them in with. Yeah, I agree. Yes, you do. Egberto, it's okay. Don't go changing. Thank you, beautiful Lynette. Thank you. Appreciate that. PJ Schuster says, we had snow here in the men's of southern New Mexico. Really? I want some snow. I wish we could get a little bit of snow here in Houston. Anthony Lefranco said, yes, thinking out of the box, Norm. All the rest, how about leaning into the helps empathy become equality? I like that. I like that. What else have we got here? Let me get a few things here to read. Bear with me, guys, before I get to the video. Just want to acknowledge our people that are leaving messages in the chat. Have a good weekend at the prison protest. I haven't made up my mind completely yet about that. It depends on how much I do tonight, guys. So I don't want to give bad information. All right, let's see what else we have. Even if I don't go, Vicky is in the chat room right now, and I know she's going to get some damn good videos if I don't make it. Right, Vicky? Please tell me you will. Please tell me you will. I love you. All right, let's see what else we got here. Scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down. I got that, Michael. I got that one spoken. Let's see. Carfox says the Young Turks don't like American capitalism and corporate news media. Yeah, I mean, I know it, I've spoken to him a few times. I don't know how much anti-capitalist Sink really is. I really am not sure where he is on that, to be honest with you. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, right, Egberto. There are a handful of progressives who stand out as leading the way to better ideas about how we go forward. Bo of the Fifth, I love him, and his wife Bele of the Ranch. I didn't know about his wife Bele. Michael, go ahead and send me a Facebook message, or rather a chat message. You know the way you normally send it, on his wife. I didn't realize he had a wife. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Cal Kulinski, Rational National. I like Rational. He's a Canadian though. Christopher Titus, I've heard him. Cal Kulinski. What? Who else have we got? MD. Man, you listen to some good people. I commend you, man. Egberto, makes me wish you'd come by and watch a live stream later tonight. Which one is it? I'll check it out. All right, guys. Donald Trump has been talking a whole lot of gibberish about how it was under Biden and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here is the deal. Here is the deal. And you have to ask yourself why it is that the purported journalists that are in that room, when Donald Trump make these completely sick, lying statements, that they do not immediately force him to back his message. Because again, by the time guys like this economist, Steve Rattner, by the time he gets to the charts, that's out of the ethos, and millions of people have heard the lies from Donald Trump. We need better media and more media that is on point. Now, I'm doing this 12 hours, or rather 24 hours away from the fact. Yes, for the audience that I have, they will get the fact check. But my God, mainstream media, step up. Step up. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Here's what he said during Tuesday's cabinet meeting.
I inherited the worst inflation in history. There was no affordability. Nobody could afford anything. Since last January, we've stopped inflation in its tracks.
He just plucked things out of the air that had no basis in reality. So let's start with inflation. It did hit 9% during COVID, and it was pretty destabilizing for a lot of people, appropriately. But it's nothing like what we went through back in the 70s after the first oil embargo, which pushed inflation up to close to 12%, and then the second one, which pushed it up to 14%. These are obviously much, much larger numbers. We even had higher inflation coming out of World War II. And so the idea that inflation is the worst in history is absurd.
And we're going to be giving back refunds out of the tariffs because we've taken in literally trillions of dollars. And we're going to be giving a nice dividend to the people, in addition to reducing debt. You won't even have income tax to pay, because the money we're taking in is so great. The word affordability is a con job by the Democrats.
Let's just put before we get to tariffs, let's just put a quick pin in inflation, because Trump also said something pretty amazing. He said we stopped inflation in its tracks. Well, that's not really true. He had heard inflation at 3%, as I said. It had come way, way down. It did go down a bit more in the early Trump years, but then it went right back up to 3%. So inflation, in fact, has not decreased at all under Trump, and it's certainly not stopped in its tracks. Now we have tariffs. So let's talk about that. Trump said this. He said, we're going to give back these refunds. We're going to give people a nice dividend. You won't even have income tax to pay because the money we're taking in is so great. What are the facts? The facts are that they collected $80 billion of tariff revenue in the previous fiscal year. This would be before Trump, very early into Trump. And then in the current year, which started in January, $259 billion of tariff revenue. But look at what the size of income tax revenues are. $2.5 trillion of income tax revenue. There's no way you can replace that with that. So that's ridiculous. Then he said we're going to reduce the debt. Well, we're running a deficit of 1.8 trillion with a T dollars every year. You're not going to reduce the debt if you're adding to the debt a couple $1 trillion a year. Let's take a look at the next chart. Affordability. So you heard him say that it's a con job by the Democrats. That is certainly contrary to what everybody thinks, including most Republicans. But again, let's look at what happened and what is happening now. So yes, we had COVID. Inflation peaked at 9%, as I said. These are the three income groups, top income group, second and third. All of them lost a lot of ground. Their wages did not keep up with inflation, so their standard of living went down. Then inflation drops to 3%, and still you see 2 out of the 3 income groups losing ground, the middle and the upper income groups, maybe not the upper one that we care the most about, but they were losing ground too. And lower incomes, basically staying flat. They never recovered all of what they lost back here. Then Trump comes in, and here's the amazing thing, and it's only the first year of his term, but in fact, higher incomes are now doing better, opposite of what we saw earlier. Lower incomes are still losing ground. So the idea that when you see people lose this much purchasing power over this long a period of time, that we don't have an affordability crisis is completely fictitious.
Obamacare was made to make the insurance companies rich. Their stocks have gone up 1,000% in a short period of time. We have reduced drug prices by 500, 600, 700, 800, 900%, depending on the drug.
This is going to come as news to the drug companies because they don't think their stocks have gone up 1,000%, nor does anybody else for that matter. And he said a short period of time. I don't know what he means by a short period of time, but if you look at the last 5 years, for example, United Healthcare and Elevance are the 2 largest participants in the Obamacare insurance markets, and they do a lot of other things, and so it's not completely a pure analysis, but it's definitely directionally right. So their stock prices and the graphed against the S&P, which is in black here, you can see what happened. They did do well for a while, but now their stocks have gone all the way down here. Their stocks are about 25% above where they were 5 years ago. The S&P is up 100%, a little bit over 100% from where it was 5 years ago. So the stocks have barely done anything compared to the broader market. So that's just not true. But now let's look at his math skills. Most of us took 6th grade and 7th grade math. He says we're going to reduce drug prices by these huge numbers of percents. Let's just do basic math here. If you have a $60 drug, and you get a 50% price cut in that drug, it costs, and I won't ask Lemire, but I'm sure he knows, $30. If you get a if you have a $60 drug and they cut the price by 100%, it's free, right? 100% reduction in price goes to free. If you have a $60 drug again, and it goes down by 200%, what happens? They give you the drug for free. They pay you $60 to take the drug. So obviously, the idea that drug prices can go down by these amounts is ridiculous. The price of something simply cannot go down by more than 100%. This is 6th grade math.
Yeah.
This is 6th grade math.
This is 6th grade math. Donald Trump makes it quite obvious that one need not be smart to be a billionaire, something that we've discussed many a times. All you need to be a billionaire is to be an effective parasite. That's all. That's the only requirement to be a billionaire, to be an effective parasite, a person who knows how to live off the backs of others and let everybody else do the real things, the real work that needs to be done. Understand that, my brothers and my sisters. It doesn't mean that you must be smart to be a billionaire. In fact, Donald Trump proved that he's just a crook. And again, when you don't have any morals, you will do anything to make a dollar. And that's what he does. Look at what he's doing with crypto. Let me just tell you guys to be sure. Crypto is a fraud. E-money is a fraud. You may say, well, the E-money is just as fictitious as the paper dollar, in which case you would say, yes, but the paper dollar is backed by the faith of the government of the United States, which means with the military power, with the resources that the country has, etc., it does have some sort of a back-end. But let me tell you something that wouldn't surprise me at all. I don't know how many of you know the back end of how ledgers are kept for first of all, let's forget about crypto as they talk about it, but for uh, these types of e monies. But there is a technology called blockchain that keep ledgers updated as far as the value of your particular, e money. What is e money called? You know what? So coin, there's Bitcoin is the one. Bitcoin is they have these ledgers that are updated on thousands of computers around the country using a technology called I just called it out, right? Uh, and the thing about it is what nobody has figured out, right? Nobody has figured out what happens if in that technology, in that software, right, there is a bug in the blockchain technology. What happens? What happens? I write software. I can tell you when there's something based on nothing, what happens? Okay. Thank you for the link, brother. What happens if there is a bug in the blockchain and people's stuff start disappearing? What happens then? Right? Because remember, there's no backup or anything like that. So that's what we're saying. You're not here about. Do you lie? You're not at Politics Done Right to get breaking news. That is not what you're going to get here. What you're going to get here is an angle to the news many a times that you don't get on the mainstream. Whether you want it, I mean, you have become one of my, you're my brother, but you become a good antagonist. I don't know why. Maybe it's because you don't like that I call Medicare Advantage a fraud, which it is, but that's okay. But anyhow, um, here's the thing, folks. Here's the thing. We have to come to the realization that how our entire economic system, including what you see Donald Trump does, etc., just shows you not only how tenuous it is, but also how corrupt and based on little it is. And for those, the difference between poverty and a lot has little to do with absolute intelligence and not. Because one of the dumbest people we have in this country is the President of the United States. Yet, he was able, given his parasitic behavior, to do what he's done. But anyway, last night, Ex-MAGA, I want to play this one from last night because I think it's pretty important. And the commentary that I have after it, I hope some of you would listen to. Check this out. I wrote a piece on Thanksgiving talking about not necessarily being thankful for what Thanksgiving, the mythology of Thanksgiving, but actually loving Thanksgiving for giving thanks. And one of the issues I brought up in that piece was that one of the things that I'm thankful for is that America is starting to wake up. America is starting to wake up. And, I know a whole lot of people who have quietly left MAGA. They won't quite come out explicitly and tell you, but you can see their enchantment, it has faded. You can see that the will that they had to fight by all means for the thug in chief is gone. And yesterday, on what we saw on Mrs. Rule's show is a MAGA person. His name is Rich Logis, who is founder and executive director of Leaving MAGA, came on to her show, Stephanie Rule, and explained exactly why he became MAGA, how he was enthralled in it and how not just disillusioned, but he had an epiphany that just brought truth into his fold and decided, I got to get out. And it's happening to a whole lot of people who are starting to realize that they've been had. Listen to Rich Logis, and then we'll take it on the other side.
MAGA is no longer a fringe faction of the Republican Party. Now they are running things. My next guest left the MAGA movement in 2022 and is now trying to help others do the same. His name is Rich Logis. He's the founder and executive director of Leaving MAGA. So originally, what was it that appealed to you about MAGA?
For those who are meeting me for the first time, I would like to apologize for my past MAGA activism. In 2015 and 16, I was very politically lonely. I believed mistakenly that the two parties were the same. And I found in the MAGA movement a community, a sense of belonging, feelings of gathering. And after the 2016 election, I got deeper and deeper into the MAGA world. I wrote freelance articles for places like Fox and The Federalist. I produced my own podcast with the aspiration of being a MAGA influencer. I spoke at Trump groups. I sponsored them. I was a true believer. I was all in on the cause. I believed that I was fighting for our political life in our country, and that anyone who was not with us was against us as an existential threat. And MAGA was exciting.
When did that change?
To paraphrase Ernest Hemingway, my epiphany happened gradually and then suddenly all at once. MAGA was exhilarating until it was not. And there were numerous factors that led to my eventual leaving of MAGA. There was the president's mismanagement of COVID. There was January 6th. There were the stolen election lies. There was my governor, Ron DeSantis, platforming COVID anti-vaxxers at his pressers. And then there was the final straw for me, which was on May 24th, 2022, which was the day of the Uvalde, Texas school shooting. And it was shortly thereafter, on August 30th of 2022, when I published a mea culpa and I made my renunciation of MAGA official. And I apologized in that article that I wrote to all of those I may have hurt with my words, deeds, and rhetoric. And at the time, I didn't believe that anyone would actually care about my leaving, but it turned out that people did, especially friends and family of those still in the thrall of MAGA.
Well, you say there's a lot of trauma within MAGA's base. What do you mean by that? What did you see?
What I came to realize after leaving MAGA is that the movement is buttressed by a number of lies and conspiracies and falsehoods. And what MAGA does to its adherents is it traumatizes them into believing that Democrats and liberals and progressives and anyone against Trump must be an existential threat to themselves, their families, their country, and their livelihood. So the trauma that exists within MAGA is it keeps people in perpetual states of desperation and panic and rage and paranoia, the kinds of feelings that I went through as I was spending an entire year coming to the realization that I had believed lies and that I had created a public persona based on falsehoods that I did sincerely believe, but turned out to be false once I had my own epiphany and realized that I had believed so much of what the president was saying was not true.
What do you believe MAGA's impact has been on our country? How has it changed our country?
Well, it was a fantasy of ours when I was in MAGA to kill off the GOP and make it into a MAGA party. And I think that transformation has been achieved. And unfortunately, MAGA, I believe, has traumatized every square inch of the country. But I also think that there is some good news, Stephanie, to all of this. I believe that the president knows that there are cracks and chasms that are widening within the base. I think that partly explains his particularly unhinged behavior that we've seen him exhibit recently. So I do believe that there are some who right now quietly have left MAGA, that there are others who are quietly having doubts. And I would encourage everyone who's watching to visit our website at leavingmaga.org and read all the testimonials of people who, like me, left, who decided that they no longer wanted to buy into all of the mythologies of MAGA and realize that as part of what Donald Trump has done, his toxic superpower, as I said last year, is lying. And I think for those who are experiencing doubts right now and questioning their beliefs, I think they're at a point where they've reached their own red line and line of demarcation and are asking themselves, if Donald Trump is lying about one or two issues, what else is it that he might be lying about?
Yes. So he's been out, I guess, 2 years and change now, and he's doing good work. Remember, one of the things that we preach here all of the times: give people a place to land. Give those who were caught up in MAGA, those people who, for whatever reason, some there are a lot of reasons, some not too nice, but in order to get the major changes that we need in this country economically, in order to defeat an economic system that is decimating everybody, whether you call yourself MAGA or otherwise, that economic system is going to require all of us to be a part of to fix. So we don't have time to sit back and hold grudges. I've said before, yes, those who have done wrong, those who have done the worst wrong, have got to atone. But those who were simply gullible, we have to give folks a place to land. We must give people a place to land, not for them, but for all of us, so that we can get the changes that need to be made. It's not going to take 50% plus one. It's going to take us all.
All of our country's problems.
Yes, it's going to take us all. It's not 50% plus one. Now, you have those, like I have constantly said, that are immutable. We try, but we just have to let them fail on their own. We have a couple here in our combined chat. The honest truth of it is, I really feel sorry for them. They're so much they're completely down the rabbit hole. I mean, I really feel sorry for them, but at least they're here. That's all I gotta say. At least they're here. But my God, poor things. I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for their families, because many a times the families of these guys, it's usually mostly guys, are much more informed than they are and know better, and just sit down. In fact, sometimes some of these people, I get like, my dad this or my grandpa this or whatever, and how did he get that way? Again, a lot of times, unfortunately, it has a lot to do with prejudice, racism, sexism, and all the isms for their own inadequacies. But again, we should still leave the door open for them, even as we feel sorry for them. But anyhow, anyway, folks, this is what is the word that I want to say? Let's one of the people that know very little just said, "Can you name a socialist economic policy that actually worked by itself?" I don't know what you're really talking about. All I can say is the types of policies we like that have very good social policies are countries that have social policies. Many of the Scandinavian countries, I repeat that ad nauseum. And we are so rich, America as a country itself, that we could go far and beyond what many folks in the Scandinavian countries do. But again, that's for another day for somebody who actually wants to learn something, I guess. All right. Today, at noon, I wanted to go ahead and get a little workout in for the day. The one thing that I have to do is, like I said, I'm 16 hours basically in front of this computer, and I try to get some sort of a workout at least 3 times a week. I try to get 4 a week, but I know 6 times a week. Now, here's the thing. Today I turned on Netflix, and there was a program called, it was called Buy Now. Let me make sure that I get it right. I want to make sure that this weekend some of you would watch it. I think it's called Buy Now. But yeah, watch Buy Now, the shopping conspiracy. Those of you who have Netflix, please understand what capitalism does. And this wasn't a movie on capitalism at all. But I am sure that if you guys watch that Netflix documentary, again, it's called Buy Now, it's going to be shocking. Please do watch the program. All right, the last subject of the day that I want to cover, and by the way, you can give me a call at the phones are open 281-823-7747, 281-823-7747. Uh, I tell you what, I'm going to play a little video because there's this call that I have got to take, and then I'll stop it. I wrote a piece on Thanksgiving talking about not necessarily being thankful for what Thanksgiving, the mythology of Thanksgiving, but actually, it was a fluke. It was a fluke. I'm waiting at a particular call, and this one was a fluke. But thank you anyway. Anyway, folks, a call in number. And thank you, Denuve. Appreciate you. I appreciate you. The call in number is 281-823-7747. And I'm going to also put it in the Substack chat. Harry Denton said, Berto, like you stated, you just know the prejudice, the racism and sexism and transgenderism and homosexualism and any of the isms is a mental disorder. It is. These people have a mental problem, a genuine mental problem. And you won't harm, kick, and disparage somebody with a disability. You wouldn't. But again, MAGA does that. Remember what the president did about the reporter? Remember that? So yeah. But anyhow, the other subject that we need to cover, and I need to get to my thing here and put it out here as outrage grows. Let me move this to the screen because I want you guys to check this out. Para ver dónde lo voy a poner aquí mismo. Outrage grows as Trump administration quietly weighs new tax windfall for the biggest corporations. Here we're running a huge budget deficits. We're cutting healthcare. We're cutting all these things that help people. And we're talking about a tax cut again. But before I get there, I want to talk about what PJ Schuster said because it's very important. Republicans talk a lot about how Obamacare is broken. Look, Obamacare isn't the best way to set up healthcare at all, but it's much better than we had before. And Republicans have systematically broken it. And let's give an example. And PJ Schuster nails it. That's why I stopped what I was doing to point it out. She says, let me see if I can get her first comment before I go to that one. Maybe I can. All right. Okay, let's just go ahead and read her big comment here. It says, then they really ruined it when they challenged the individual mandate that everyone not on employer provided insurance had to carry the ACA. They took it all the way to the SCUDUS and got it cut out. That took the younger, healthier people out of the insured pool, which of course increased the cost for those left in the pool. Now they are gutting it further by getting rid of the tax credits, increasing the cost for many. Insurance is not an investment. Insurance is a bet that is made. You are betting that you are likely to get sick, and the insurance company is betting that you won't get sick. In other words, they're betting to keep your money, and you're betting to take their money to pay your bills. That's what insurance is. So it is a sick concept, but that's what private insurance is, right? Now that we had a functioning system, if everybody is in the system, then the people that don't use a lot of insurance, or they don't get sick often, will in fact be subsidizing those who get sick a lot. And that's a good thing because we do not know who among us will be the ones to get very sick. So it's a policy that protects us all. So when Republicans went and got rid of the mandate, right? They broke it because at that point, healthy people going to say, "I don't need to get me no insurance," and they get out of it. The sad thing about it, people, is for the people who like to talk about personal responsibility, that they would make it allow people to do the irresponsible thing and get out of the Affordable Care Act. And when those same people get into an accident or they get a disease, they run to the emergency room, and then all of us have to pay that bill. That should point out the hypocrisy of Republican orthodoxy. That shows you the hypocrisy of Republican orthodoxy. Just like Donald Trump blowing up ships in the Caribbean and the Pacific and near the South under the pretext of controlling drugs. And guess what has recently happened? The price of cocaine has fallen dramatically because guess what? As Donald Trump works on crap down there, the doors are wide open for fentanyl and cocaine to come right into the country. So it's a colossal failure what this guy is doing. I mean, he's getting paid to do it, but it's a colossal failure. I tell you one thing that I hope Democrats don't do. Donald Trump is trying to play with smoke and mirrors. If we continue to get very upset about what he's doing in Venezuela, even as I don't think he's going to invade Venezuela, it's a gimmick, we will take our eyes off the ball. The ball is affordability, inflation, and you can't afford your health care. Democrats should not take their eyes off that ball. Donald Trump is going to Pennsylvania purportedly to have a rally. I want to see how many people are going to show up. They may have to pay people to show up. But we cannot take our eyes off of the ball. Affordability, inflation, healthcare, security. We've got to keep our eye on the ball. Yeah, we can talk about the pedophilia. Yep, we can talk about the what's going on in Venezuela, but singularly connect yourself. Do not let Donald Trump get to the left of you on affordability. And always have ready to say that Donald Trump has called the affordability issue a con. Let's not lose the battle. Let's not lose it. All right. Now I have a few minutes to say the following. The Trump administration's quiet effort to deliver billions more in tax break to some of the largest companies in the United States drew fresh scrutiny and outrage this week, with the Democratic members of Congress warning that a series of obscure regulatory changes could further undermine efforts to rein in corporate tax dodging. In a letter, the Treasury Department unveiled Thursday, Senator Elizabeth Warren and Representative Don Bayer led a group of lawmakers in denouncing the Trump administration assault on corporate alternative tax. That is a corporate alternative income tax, meaning you've got to pay something. You've got to pay something. A Biden era measure that requires highly profitable U.S. corporations to pay a tax of at least 15% on their book profits, the numbers reported to shareholders. The Trump administration, climate, thank you, Bruce, you're absolutely right. The Trump administration has consistently chipped away at the CAMT to further corporate interests. The lawmakers wrote, pointing to the rules issued in recent months exempting many corporations from the tax. But these massive giveaways apparently aren't enough for billionaire corporations and their lobbyists, which are trying to further undermine CAM. The Democratic lawmakers, who are joined by Bernie Sanders, specifically warned against an ongoing corporate push for a carve-out to a research and experiment tax break, including in the Trump GOP budget law enacted over the summer. Corporations supported the R&E, the research and engineering tax break, but as Wall Street Journal reported last month, the giveaway is driving some companies' regular taxes down so far that they are pushed into CAM. In other words, all these tax break they're getting is so high that now they qualify for the corporate adjusted minimum tax because we've reduced your taxes by so much. And what do they do to not pay even that tax? Even that tax? Get rid of the corporate adjusted minimum tax. Deficit spending. So we cut taxes for corporations that are rich. Healthcare disaster. You know, our friend says her healthcare bill monthly. I think that's what Lynette said. Lynette says her monthly payment for healthcare $2,300. Did I get that right, Lynette? $2,300 a month because she's no longer going to receive the subsidies. Am I quoting that correct, Lynette? No, you don't have to send me a picture. I believe you. Actually, you know what? Lynette, actually, I am going to make Lynette, send me an email. I want to do a little something with you because you are something that we need to. Stories are very important. Drop me a line in Lynette, info@politicsdoneright.com. I want to talk to you. Wow, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Yeah, and scan that stuff and send it to me. Protect your important numbers, Lynette. But scan that and send it to me, or take a picture of it and send it to me. Wow, that's terrible. Hey, whoa, it's 4:00. Time flies when you're having fun. Maintain privacy. Yeah, that's what I just told her, Bruce. That's what I just told her. But thank you for giving that remembrance. All right, folks, we're out of time. I want to say to please support the program. Remember, it's not just this radio show and the 6:00 in the morning radio show. It is also all the articles that we write. It's also all the websites that we go to. It's also the protest. It's all the things that we do here. Please support the channel. Please support the platform. We cannot exist without your support. You are the one who make all of this possible. If you go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, all I'm asking you to do is become paid subscribers of our newsletter. If you have the wherewithal to do so, it's a coffee. It's a coffee. So if you have the wherewithal to do so, if you believe in what we're doing, believe in the changes that I've dedicated my life to, actually, there's no turning back. Please support the program, support what we're doing. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I want to read what Lynette had to say before I go, though. She says, hope everyone has a good weekend. Listen to the music. I think it's another one that I want. I'm sorry, that's completely unaffordable. Yeah, that is completely unaffordable. Completely. So, Lynette, drop me a line so we can have a conversation. If you don't mind, put in your number in there because I want to actually talk to you to see if we can arrange a little quick something to do here. Let's see. Is there anything else I need to say before I go? Support the program, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. If you want to talk to me directly, info@politicsdoneright.com. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EG Bertowillies. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.